159 pages. You know why? It took years to hammer it out. You know why? Because the devil is in the details.
The accomplishment here principally would be getting all the nuclear material and destroying
this deal?
it.
That's
not
because that's not what's in this deal.
They have no
right to be upset about this information when they won't release the document.
If I may finish.
It's that simple.
If I may. The quickest way to dispel any misinformation
of that process.
Can I just tell you that
well,
the bombing of terrorists, we can both agree on, but bombing Iran into submission did not work.
Before, where the Middle Eastern countries are saying we've had enough of these guys and we're going to hold them to it. That's one difference.
Okay.
Well. MAGA pundits like Scott Jennings are finding themselves in a bit of a pickle this morning. The fact that it is that they have to go out and defend Donald Trump's alleged deal that he's made with Iran, they are finding it hard. And in this clip, we just see Charles Blow just repeatedly chuckle at Scott Jennings' defense of this awful deal if what's being reported is actually the deal. As usual, let's watch the clip in full. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts towards the end. Let's get into it.
Good evening. I'm Abby Phillip in New York. Tonight, Trump has surrendered to Iran. That is how conservative Eric Erickson is describing the little-known agreement between the United States and Iran that was signed virtually yesterday. Erickson took his criticism even further, claiming those who kill Americans love this deal. But the truth is, we don't know what exactly was agreed to, and what we do know changes, depends on who you ask. Questions remain about whether Iran will have access to billions of dollars of frozen funds, and what, if any, concessions Iran has already agreed to. And while the White House claims that the Strait of Hormuz will be open toll-free, Iranian officials say it will have fees. Even the question of when we will actually see the text of this agreement isn't clear. J.D. Vance says maybe tomorrow. Trump says Friday. But Erickson is not the only Republican taking issue with the lack of transparency around this deal. Fox News host Mark Levin questions why the American people can't see the, quote, damn MOU. If it's a great outcome for peace, then release it. He added, don't brief a few anointed ones to control the narrative and expect everyone else to sit silently. Controlling the narrative can only last so long. And a new Axios reports finds that there are some skeptics in this administration, too. Sources tell them that the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, advised Trump on some intelligence that raises serious doubts about Iran's willingness to make nuclear concessions. The source also told Axios that Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, have both expressed concerns based on that intelligence. Now, while Vance, Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner have all advocated for this deal. We are now sitting here, I guess, more than a day after apparently the United States and Iran have signed on to some kind of agreement. We don't have any text. We just have anonymous officials. They won't even put their names on the statement, fighting over what is in it. And I do think one of the basic things is if this agreement is a page and a half long and it doesn't actually have any hard commitments on the nuclear issue, why are we even talking about sanctions relief? Why are we even talking about reconstruction funds or releasing any money at all?
Well, we're talking to them because we want this conflict to end and we want to get to an ultimate goal where Iran doesn't have any or the capacity to make any nuclear weapons. That is the principal goal. That's number one. Number two, it would be wise for the administration to put this document out for everybody to look at. And they ought to do it as soon as they can, both for their allies who are interested, but also for the American people, because we've gone to war here. The American people deserve to know how this is going to come to an end. Number three, I talked to the president on Sunday, and he was, telling me he was about to sign something with Iran, and he did. And he was excited to get the Strait of Hormuz open. But he said something very important to me, which is, look, if they don't follow through on their commitments, we will start hitting them again. He's clearly not taken further military action off the table. So we have some miles to travel down this road. The next mile will be on Friday when there's a formal signing. For the people who don't trust Iran, look, I agree with you. I think an Iranian signature is worth very, very little, but it could be worth something if the president keeps this Middle Eastern coalition together.
What is your understanding of what this deal actually accomplishes?
The accomplishment here principally would be getting all the nuclear material and destroying
this deal?
That's
not what's in this deal.
No, that's the goal.
No,
And
I'm asking you, what do you think this MOU
Oh, sorry,
is?
I understand. The memorandum of understanding.
Yeah.
So 60 days, ceasefire, open the Strait of Hormuz, and you have a window to finalize the discussions about ending the nuclear program. The president believes he's got them to agree to do that. They have 60 days to finalize that. And again, I'll just stress, as he said to me on Sunday, if they don't follow through on that, I'll start hitting them again.
Can I just say on the 60 days, though,
first of all, you believe this
well,
will
can
be
I just say
open?
that on what Scott was saying on the MOU, 60 days to negotiate anything with Iran when it comes to its nuclear program. We're not even talking about its ballistic missile program, its support to its proxies. 60 days is aspirational at best. I think what we understand this agreement to be is trying to restore the Strait to pre-war conditions where there was freedom of navigation that flew and international law was upheld. But right now, we don't even know the details of this agreement because Iran is saying that they're going to charge some type of fee for ships going in and out of the Strait, which would be highly illegal under international law. But not only that, we don't know when the Strait is open. We don't know when the blockade is ending. And we don't know. I mean, the only ones that can determine if the Strait is open, it's not Iran, it's not the United States, it's the shipping companies. If the shipping companies feel confident that they can sail through the Strait unimpeded and safely, then they will do it. But we don't know that.
Well, with
Okay, let me let Charles say. He wanted to get in. Go ahead.
Well, the point you make about whether or not the Strait will be open is, I think, the crucial one. The people who study this think it'll take months to clear it of mind, let alone try to figure out new navigation lanes that the Iranians want to put into effect in order to collect some fees. And then you have to worry about whether or not the shipping companies will be able to pay the insurance. They're not paying war insurance, which is like a 900% increase in their insurance costs from before this war started. And the insurance companies have to be reassured and that they can bring those costs down, and that the shipping companies have to be reassured that they will be able to pay the new costs to get through it. No one believes that this happens in a couple of months. So the idea that this deal may start the reopening, but it will not reopen the Strait.
I mean, I don't even know that we should even be calling it a deal of any kind, because just to be clear, if it's a deal, you should be able to say, before you even sign it, here's what we both agreed to. Anna, did you know that John Thune, Senate Majority Leader, has not even been briefed? He told Manu Raju today. He has not been briefed.
Actually, I did know that because I listened to Manu say that, and nobody in Congress has been
Israelis
briefed.
Are asking, what's in this deal? Under what circumstances would the United States sign a document with Iran and not tell anybody what was in it?
You know, I mean, so J.D. Vance told Jake Tapper that it is a page and a half. My
tweets longer than that.
Grocery shopping list for Thanksgiving is longer than that. So it's not like they have that briefing them on what's in this MOU should be that difficult, because there doesn't seem to be that much in that MOU. I think it feels like it's kicking the can down the road and giving them 60 days to come up with something else. But, you know, Donald Trump has done a terrible job selling this entire thing from the beginning. He never went in front of the American people. He never went in front of Congress to explain it thoroughly. I think he gets another shot at doing it now, and he should do it, and he should do it expeditiously, because a lot of these attacks are coming from inside the House. So if he doesn't even have his allies on board selling this, he needs to be clear and transparent with the American people, and certainly with Congress, because if he's going to be disbursing any money, they've got to authorize it.
First, on that point, there's no dispersal of funds. I know, and this is what I wanted to address. I think the administration today has been pretty upset about what they say is misinformation flying around out there, even from some of their own
They have no right to be upset about
misinformation
when they won't release the document.
If I may finish.
It's that simple.
If I may. The quickest way to dispel any misinformation would, of course, be to put the document out and say, here's what our intentions are when we get to Friday, and here's what our intentions are over this 60-day period. So hopefully they do that in the next 24 hours, and that'll bring some clarity.
Here's one other thing.
Already been over 24 hours.
It doesn't count to claim we are not going to be dispersing funds if there's a $300 billion fund that we are authorizing to be dispersed to the Iranians, which I'll play what J.D. Vance said about that. That is not actually being disputed by the administration. Listen.
The Iranians are saying that they're going to have access to a $300 billion reconstruction fund. True or false?
Well, and that's the sort of thing they could have access to, funded by the Gulf Coast Coalition, so long as they honor their end of the obligation. We absolutely are open to the Gulf Coast countries investing in the reconstruction of Iran, but only if Iran ends their nuclear program, ends their enriched stockpile of material, and is really open to an inspections and enforcement regime that gives the American people confidence they're never going to have a nuclear weapon.
So there it is. What are they mad
look,
about?
I mean, I don't think
they said it in a call. Vance said it on TV.
$299 billion more than Obama negotiated with Iran.
I don't think it matters whether when the JCPOA was signed, the money was not taxpayer dollars. That was Iranian money that was being held in frozen accounts. So it doesn't matter if it's our money or not.
It's a good point. Even if it is the Gulf states' money, I don't think the median GOP-based voter is going to be particularly thrilled with the notion of releasing $300 billion in funds to the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. That's not why we got into this. But here's what I will say. Me personally, I'm a bomb the terrorists guy. If that didn't work and I was president, I would probably just bomb the terrorists some more. But I'm not the president. Donald Trump is. He was elected on a kind of dual message. One, the Iranians can never have a nuclear weapon. And two, we're also not going to get into endless quagmire wars in the Middle East. To me, this looks like the execution of that process.
Can I just tell you that
well,
the bombing
of
terrorists we can both agree on, but bombing Iran into submission did not work.
Well,
and Iran,
maybe that's
in March, the president tweeted that Iran will unconditionally surrender, and that just has not happened.
Kinetically and militarily, this administration has set the Iranian nuclear program back years. It has set the ballistic missile
program back to where it was when the JCPOA was in.
Well, we've also done significant damage to the
this is actually amazing to me. And Sabrina, maybe you have some insights into this, and Charles too, because I know you talk about this a lot. Trump told the New York Times that Iran could enrich uranium forever for non-military purposes. He said they could enrich to a low level that it could never be used by the military. They could never go beyond a certain point. When asked whether that limit was the same as in the Obama-era agreement, which limited enrichment to 3.67%, a level that's usable in power reactors but not weaponry, he said that only that the new accord would ensure that they could only enrich for non-military purposes forever. The president is probably not aware that that very thing that he just said they could do is one of the main reasons why Republicans opposed the JCPOA. They did not believe.
How could he not be aware?
That they did not believe there should be any enrichment at all.
Right.
Okay? Right. So he is already conceding that.
And the first line of the JCPOA was that Iran commits to never having a nuclear weapon. And so, this is what's concerning about this administration. And Scott and I have talked about this too. It's like the messaging from the beginning has been off. He didn't make the case to the American public. And now, unfortunately, the United States, I think, had the upper hand last year after Midnight Hammer was executed and the, enriched uranium was sitting under a pile of rubble. And by the way, it still is because we haven't struck those sites. But now we have a completely different aspect at play here, which is the Strait of Hormuz. And we're talking about negotiating on opening the strait, something that wasn't even a condition where this war began. It wasn't even a factor in the war.
Scott, does the president understand even what the differences are between what he is negotiating today and what he called a bad deal 10 years ago?
Well, I think he might say that one of the differences is that he's brought together all of the Arab states in the Gulf against Iran. We've never had that condition before where the Middle Eastern countries are saying we've had enough of these guys and we're going to hold them to it. That's one difference.
Okay.
The JCPOA had the UN's backing, it had the EU's backing, and several other states outside of
not the Gulf.
You're right.
Russia,
so you trade the Gulf states for the rest of the Western world.
Their neighbors?
For the rest of the Western world. The Western world.
By the way, China and Russia, the people who are
ridiculous.
Actually most in a position to help Iran, were a part of the last deal to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon. Today, we're not even talking about China. We're not talking about Russia.
Abby, you made a good point. Abby, you made a good point at the front end of this when you said we still don't know what's in this MOU. And then Anna actually made a good point, which is that there's 60 days going on longer where we don't know what's going to happen. I happen to believe this president, if he likes one thing, it's optionality. Okay? So he's going to see where this leads. He's going to pursue this process. Look, there were a lot of people in this administration who were not supportive of where the president was at with his instincts with regard to Iran at the front end of this conflict. Now, tables have shifted a little bit.
You call it optionality, I call it
more restrainer. I call it aimlessness.
He may not understand what the difference is between the two deals, the Obama deal and the potential Trump deal, if we ever see one. But I will tell you,
I think the difference is it's backed up by a credible force.
Let me finish. There's going to be a ton of experts who explain it clearly to the American public once we see what this final deal is, and who are going to make a comparison and a contrast. And it's going to be very hard for Donald Trump to pretend he got a better deal after he panned the other deal for 10 years if he didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, he can
that's
say
right.
it over and over and over again, but it means that people like Scott, who've been arguing what the deal needs to be for the last 4 months, is going to have to bend yourself into a pretzel shape for have some integrity.
If the deal is what the administration says it is, then it's a good deal. If the deal is what the Iranians say it is, then it's a bad deal.
$300 billion.
Half of a deal.
But you haven't seen that page and a half.
It doesn't matter what the page is. It's a page and a half. The other deal was 159 pages. You know why? It took years to hammer it out. You know why? Because the devil is in the details. You have to make sure. The Iranians are like rich people and tax loopholes. They're going to look for every one of them. They're going to look for every one of them. And the Iranians are going to look for every way to bend the deal so that they can get out of it and also still be adherent to it. And so the reason that you have to wait, can you just wait for 1 second? The reason that you have to negotiate for a very long time and hammer through every one of the minor issues, every date, every inspector access, is because you want to make sure that they can't weasel out of it. A page and a half is not going to do that. And here's the problem. Here's the political problem. So let's say the Iranians know that they have the upper hand here. They say, say they don't come to an agreement in 60 days. Do you think that the president is going to go back and start bombing on the verge of the midterms?
Maybe.
And send prices to gas through the roof? Then he'd be an idiot.
And just one.
You thought the whole thing was stupid from the get-go.
He is an idiot. He's an idiot to get into it, and he's going to be an idiot when he starts bombing again after the Iranians do this.
Right.
He cannot get out of it without losing.
Then I'm an idiot.
You might be. I don't know. I never met you. I just met you tonight. You might be an idiot.
All right, we're going to leave it there, guys. Next for us, more breaking